There are whispers in the quiet corners of our minds, aren't there? A persistent unease. A feeling that something isn't quite right, even when everything seems to be perfect on the surface. We are told to chase after certain things: success, status, comfort, external validation, as if they are the keys to a fulfilling life. We run towards them with unyielding determination, often sacrificing our peace, our authenticity, even our very souls in the process. But what if the map we've been given is fundamentally flawed? What if the finish line we're sprinting towards is actually the starting point of our imprisonment? This isn't just about escaping a bad job or a toxic relationship. It's about a far more profound liberation. It's about confronting the unseen chains that bind us, the insidious illusions that masquerade as salvation, and understanding what we truly need to flee to find ourselves. Think about it for a moment. We live in a world obsessed with attainment. From the moment we're old enough to understand, we're conditioned to believe that happiness is a destination, reached by accumulating more, achieving more, being more in the eyes of others. We climb corporate ladders, we amass possessions, we curate perfect online personas, all in the desperate hope that this time, this next achievement, this next acquisition will finally fill the void. But the void persists, doesn't it? It's a trick, a mirage shimmering on the horizon, constantly receding as we approach. This endless pursuit, this perpetual striving, isn't progress. It's a treadmill, and the only way to truly move forward is to step off it. To recognize that the frantic chase itself is often the very thing we need to escape. One of the first, and perhaps most subtle, traps we need to flee is the allure of external validation. We are social creatures, naturally wired for connection and belonging. There's nothing inherently wrong with wanting to be accepted or appreciated. But when our sense of self-worth becomes entirely dependent on the opinions of others, we lose our compass. We start living a life tailored to expectations rather than authenticity. Carl Jung, that profound explorer of the human psyche, spoke extensively about the dangers of the persona, the mask we wear for society. He understood that while a persona is necessary for social functioning, becoming identified with it, believing it to be our true self, is a recipe for internal discord. We become prisoners of popular opinion, constantly adapting, constantly performing, never truly knowing who we are beneath the layers of approval seeking. This constant performance, this desperate need for external applause, breeds a form of spiritual poverty. You might have all the accolades, all the followers, all the societal markers of success, and still feel profoundly empty. Because genuine fulfillment comes from within, from aligning with your true self, your authentic desires, and your inherent values, not from a curated image reflected back by a fickle audience. The ancient Stoics, like Marcus Aurelius, understood this deeply. He constantly reminded himself in his meditations that the only true good is virtue, and that external things, reputation, wealth, pleasure, are indifferent. They have no bearing on your inner state. To crave them, to build your life around them, is to give power to forces outside your control, to make yourself a slave to the whims of others. Flee the need to be seen, to be approved, to be celebrated. Instead, seek to be what you truly are, in quiet dignity. Another pervasive force we must flee is the tyranny of the collective. We are living in an age where conformity is lauded, and deviation is often met with swift condemnation. Social media, mainstream narratives, political polarization, they all push us towards groupthink, towards adopting pre-packaged opinions, towards silencing our individual voices lest we be ostracized. Jung warned against the dangers of what he called mass psychology in the undiscovered self. He believed that when individuals merge into a collective, they lose their critical faculties, becoming susceptible to irrationality and manipulation. The individual conscience is submerged, replaced by a collective unconscious that can be both powerful and terrifyingly destructive. To think for yourself, to question the prevailing dogma, often feels like an act of rebellion. But this act of rebellion is precisely what's required for true selfhood. To flee the tyranny of the collective means to cultivate your own discernment, to seek out diverse perspectives, and to have the courage to stand alone, even when the chorus of voices around you demands uniformity. It means recognizing that the truth presented by the masses is often a simplified, homogenized version designed for control, not for enlightenment. Friedrich Nietzsche, with his radical critique of societal values, would argue that this collective morality often serves to suppress the powerful, creative individual in favor of the mediocre herd. He urged us to become Übermensch, not in a sense of tyrannical domination, but of self-overcoming, of forging our own values beyond conventional good and evil. He understood that the greatest threat to individual freedom isn't always overt oppression, but the subtle, insidious pressure to simply fit in. Next on our list of things to flee is the seductive trap of instant gratification. In a world that promises everything at our fingertips, patience has become a forgotten virtue. We swipe, we click, we expect immediate results, immediate pleasure, immediate solutions. This pervasive culture of instant gratification undermines our ability to endure discomfort, to delay pleasure for greater long-term rewards, and to engage in the deep, sustained effort required for meaningful creation and self-development. It fosters a superficiality, a restlessness that prevents us from truly immersing ourselves in anything, from truly savoring the process, and from appreciating the profound value of sustained effort. We are constantly chasing the next dopamine hit, the next fleeting sensation, leaving us perpetually unsatisfied. Marcus Aurelius, again, offers a powerful counter-narrative. His philosophy was built on discipline, self-control, and the understanding that true happiness comes from living in accordance with reason, not from indulging every impulse. He taught that suffering is an inevitable part of life, and that our character is forged not by avoiding discomfort, but by facing it with equanimity. Fleeing instant gratification means embracing discipline, cultivating patience, and finding joy in the process of building, learning, and growing, even when it's difficult. It means understanding that genuine satisfaction is a fruit that ripens slowly, not a drive-through meal. It's about the profound inner work that takes time, effort, and a willingness to sit with discomfort. Another thing we absolutely must flee is the subtle but devastating poison of resentment and victimhood. It's easy to feel wronged, to blame external circumstances or other people for our struggles. And sometimes, injustices are real. But dwelling in resentment, clinging to a victim narrative, is a self-imposed prison. It steals your agency, your power, and your ability to move forward. When you constantly externalize blame, you become a passive passenger in your own life, perpetually waiting for someone or something else to fix your problems. Nietzsche, in On the Genealogy of Morality, famously explored the concept of ressentiment, a deep-seated bitterness that arises from a sense of powerlessness and translates into a moral condemnation of those who are perceived as superior or happier. This can manifest as an endless cycle of blame and self-pity, eroding one's capacity for joy and self-mastery. Fleeing resentment means taking radical responsibility for your own life, even for your reactions to things outside your control. It means understanding that while you may not choose your circumstances, you always choose your response. It means forgiving, not just others, but yourself, and releasing the burden of past grievances. This doesn't mean condoning injustice, but liberating yourself from its psychological grip. It's about choosing to be an agent in your own story, rather than a perpetual casualty. It's about understanding that your power lies not in controlling the world, but in controlling your inner landscape. Another significant thing we should run from is intellectual laziness and dogmatism. We live in an age of information overload, yet true understanding seems more elusive than ever. It's easier to simply accept what we're told, to adhere to a particular ideology without truly scrutinizing its foundations, or to dismiss anything that challenges our preconceived notions. This intellectual inertia prevents growth, critical thinking, and genuine dialogue. It creates echo chambers where our biases are reinforced and our capacity for nuanced thought withers. We become closed systems, impenetrable to new ideas, unwilling to venture beyond the comfortable confines of what we already know. Jung believed in the importance of constantly exploring the unconscious, engaging with symbols, and integrating disparate aspects of the psyche. This requires an openness, a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths, and a rejection of simplistic answers. Fleeing intellectual laziness means embracing curiosity, questioning everything, and actively seeking out perspectives that challenge your own. It means being willing to change your mind when presented with new evidence, and understanding that the pursuit of truth is an ongoing journey, not a static destination. It's about cultivating intellectual humility, recognizing the vastness of what you don't know, and always being a student of life. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, we must flee the illusion of control and certainty. We desperately crave order, predictability, and the feeling that we are masters of our destiny. But life, in its essence, is unpredictable, chaotic, and often beyond our grasp. The universe doesn't operate according to our carefully laid plans. Clinging too tightly to the illusion of control generates anxiety, frustration, and a profound sense of powerlessness when things inevitably go awry. We try to micromanage every detail, to foresee every outcome, to eliminate every risk, and in doing so, we often miss the richness and spontaneity of the present moment. We become rigid, inflexible, and terrified of change, which is the only constant in existence. Marcus Aurelius again speaks directly to this. He repeatedly emphasized the importance of amor fati, the love of one's fate, embracing everything that happens as necessary and even good. Not a passive resignation, but an active acceptance, a deep understanding that the universe unfolds as it must. This acceptance liberates you from the endless struggle against reality. Fleeing the illusion of control means embracing uncertainty, cultivating adaptability, and finding peace in the ebb and flow of life. It means letting go of the need for perfect outcomes and trusting that you have the inner resources to navigate whatever comes your way. It's about finding your inner stillness amidst the storm, understanding that the only true control you have is over your own reactions and perceptions. So, what should we run from? We should flee the relentless pursuit of external validation, the tyranny of the collective, the seductive pull of instant gratification, the toxic grip of resentment and victimhood, and the false comfort of intellectual laziness and the illusion of control. These are not external threats, but internal prisons, built by our own conditioning and our own choices. True freedom isn't found by accumulating more, but by shedding what binds us. It's a process of unburdening, of stripping away the layers of societal expectation and internal fear, until you stand in your own authentic power. This journey, this act of fleeing what harms us, isn't easy. It requires courage, self-awareness, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the world. But the reward is immeasurable. A life lived on your own terms, rooted in authenticity, guided by inner wisdom, and unbound by the superficial demands of a chaotic world. It's a life of true freedom, a life worth living. So, what will you choose to run from today? What unseen chain will you decide to break? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation going. And if this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the human condition. We're just getting started.